connect.
Hey, how is everybody doing?
Fine, fine.
Oh, good.
Just fine.
Oh, it's so nice to see so many people.
Yeah, really. This is wonderful.
That's
I'm
wonderful.
impressed.
That's great. That's great. Nice to see everybody. Should we still wait a couple more minutes for everybody to
I think
sign
it is
in?
okay. Why don't you begin the introduction, Maria Elena, and then we can move on to Kim. And we are recording, right? First of all, does everybody agree with the recording? Anybody has any problems? The idea is that somebody else who cannot come today can have access to this.
Right.
Is it okay by everybody?
Okay.
Do
All
you
right.
mind doing this? Yes, please. Maya, I don't, yes. Amy, Kayara, Kate,
Everybody.
Annika, do you agree, Lily?
Okay. Good.
Okay.
All righty.
Thank you.
Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm sorry I was late. I don't know what was going on, but I'm here now. So glad to see everybody here. So glad to see so much enthusiasm for PRESHCO and so much interest. And I think what we're going to do is just let Kim Griffin. Kim Griffin is the resident director for PRESHCO. She's in Cordova right now. Hi, Kim.
Hello.
And it's very late for her. So we're very, very grateful that she's here with us. So we will let her tell us about the program, and then maybe Reyes, Adrián, Simone, and I will say just a few words, and then we'll just open it up for questions. And I don't know if Lisa wants to say something too. Maybe you will just be answering questions too.
Sure.
And Mariah, Preshkita.
Oh, and Mariah. Hi, Mariah. Of course.
¿Dónde estás? No te veo. Espérate.
There she is.
Between Nelly and Liliana.
Okay, so Mariah is a former PRESHCO student. She's a CD, and she's also in Spain, right? So she's also, gonna be saying, talking about her experience, I guess. So, and she would also be able to answer any questions you may have. So I will just let Kim talk, and then we'll take it from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all so much for coming and for inviting me to give this presentation. It's late here, but it's not really very late for Spain. I just got home from work, so not a big deal. We just came from a meeting with the six Wellesley students that are here that came in last Friday, and boy, brave souls, and they're doing really well. So that's been a really, it's kind of like a pilot project for when you all come. So, and things are going really, really well so far. So I have a quick presentation. Well, I'm not so sure. I hope it's not going to be too long. I don't know how much time we have actually, Lisa, like half an hour or something like that? Or?
I mean, an hour for this session entirely. So
great. Okay, that's fine. So I do have a presentation, and then, I'd love to have Mariah. I haven't seen Mariah in a while, but I'd love to have her add some comments to it. What you'll be seeing is a little bit different from the program that Mariah did, because we've had to make some adjustments, obviously, with everything that's going on. But I think she can certainly speak to the about Cordova, and the fact that she has stayed in Spain also says a lot. So let me just share my screen just real quickly, and I do apologize. Oops. I do apologize if my internet goes out. It's when it rains here, the internet is a little bit crazy, but anyway, I think it should be okay. So first of all, there's Cordova. I mean, it's always a good statement to make, just looking to see what a beautiful city this is. So let me tell you just very quickly about the PRESHCO program in general, and then some of the specifics, and then I can answer your questions to get more specific even. But the PRESHCO program is a full immersion program. So it really is, once you get here, you are totally immersed in the language and the culture day and night, 24/7. And which sounds a little bit daunting, but it's really not. Once you get used to it after a couple of days, then it seems strange not to be immersed. So that's kind of our objective. And we consider that the program is based on 4 different types of immersion: language immersion, community immersion, cultural immersion, and academic immersion. And I didn't put academic as the last because it's the least important, but it just happened to come out that way. So each one of these areas, all of the activities, oops, let me.
Frozen.
All of the activities have something to do with one of these types of immersions. Okay, so starting from the intensive language course before you even get here, or as soon as you get here, depends on whether we do it virtually or not. From that very first intensive language course all the way up to your internships and excursions and your integration with your host family, all of that, every single thing is part of the program and is part of your immersion, the immersion part of the program. Okay, so let me just start also by saying, or continue by just giving just a very quick view of why Cordova is an interesting destination. I don't know, is this gallery, oops. Is this gallery blocking the slide? I don't know what you can see and what you can't see. So.
You can see the purple slide that says Cordoba.
Okay, so you're not seeing my gallery of pictures by of everybody's faces, right?
No.
Okay, so why is Cordova a unique and interesting destination? And these are just 4 like real quick things that students mention. For one thing, it's well connected to Madrid and to Seville and to Malaga and to other parts of Spain by this amazing, wonderful fast train. So hopefully by the time all of you get here, we can do a little bit more traveling out beyond Cordova. But anyway, it's still a very good thing to be able to travel around. The city itself has the historic area, El Casco Histórico, it's called, this historic area, that is beautiful and fascinating both. But it's also a modern city. I mean, there's a whole part of Cordova it's a residential area, which is where most of you would live. And also a commercial area. The shops and stores and the streets are the commercial area is very modern and very. I mean, it's a medium-sized city. There's 300,000 people that live here, so it's a good-sized city. I mean, it has everything that you would possibly need. Yeah, it's small enough and walkable, and it's small enough so that it's very walkable, and you can get almost every place in maximum a half an hour walking, which is pretty nice. And there's no hills. It's not like San Francisco or anything, so it's all very flat. It's easy to walk around. And then the culture just pours out of this city every place. There's 4 World Heritage sites in Cordova. It's the city with the most World Heritage sites in the world, which means that there are world renowned monuments that are in Cordova, and there's 4 of them, which is, like I say, the only place in the world that has 4 of these. And then of course there's the climate. I mean, we can't complain about the climate here. That's for certain. July is not the greatest month to be here, but it's doable. It's just very, very hot. But the rest of the year, it's really, really nice. And and certainly nothing like Massachusetts. So that's a good thing. So quickly, the academic immersion on the normal semester program, you would take 2 classes direct enrolled in the University of Cordova and 2 classes that we organize just for PRESHCO students. And I don't know if these links are going to work. Yeah, I guess they do. Okay. So, when you get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation, you can just go right into the University of Cordova website and see what's available there. And where the classes that you would take will be in the grados, which are the undergraduate courses. Okay, so you have all of these degree programs, undergraduate degree programs in the University of Cordova. Okay, so there's certainly enough enough classes to choose from, and you can choose anything. You can do sciences, you can be in the biology or biochemistry, environmental studies, environmental sciences, cinema, education, history, art history, psychology, any translation and interpretation, and of course the humanities, which is where most of our students take classes. All right, so, and then the PRESHCO courses are ones that we create. They change from semester to semester, and I've had to be a little bit more creative with classes these days because of what's going on, but you can see everything on our webpage. So please take a minute if you're really interested in this to really look around our webpage. What's up there right now is the little Wellesley course that's going on right now. So you can kind of see those courses if you'd like. There's just right now a list of courses for next spring, although I believe that Smith Smith students will not be able to study abroad next spring, but probably by about February, we should have the fall 21 classes up there as well. So, but this will kind of give you an idea of the types of things that we do here in the PRESHCO classes. There's always language or linguistics classes. There's always a history class. There's always a geography mostly human geography class. Always an art class, always a literature, always usually combined with cinema, for example, and always archaeology, because you can't be in Cordova without studying archaeology.
Sorry, Cezanne asks in the chat, are classes taught in Spanish?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Everything is in Spanish here. You are in Spanish 24/7. So it's a challenge in the direct enrollment University of Cordova classes. It's a challenge at first. Then you'll get used to the accent and you'll get used to the way the professors speak. Mariah can probably tell you a little bit better than I can because she's actually experienced it in her herself. The PRESHCO classes are also all in Spanish. They're a little bit less daunting, I would say, because you just have PRESHCO students in the class and the professors are a little bit more, they adjust their language a little bit more, their Spanish language a little bit more. So because they know what kind of difficulties PRESHCO students have, or American students in general have, to understand and to express themselves in Spanish. But everything is in Spanish, absolutely everything, unless you have some sort of a difficult problem that you need to talk to me about in English, but everything else is all in Spanish. And the students really, it's hard at first, but then it's just amazing how the PRESHCO students just like, it takes about 2 weeks, but after about 2-3 weeks, they just kind of switch their minds over to Spanish, and it becomes such a habit that then it seems strange to use English, or it should seem strange anyway, and it usually does. So if you, yes? Mm-hmm.
Is it okay if I interrupt you with questions?
Absolutely, yes.
Emma asks, for the other institutions, would those classes be instead of the UCO classes?
Either instead of the UCO classes or instead of the PRESHCO classes. You can combine anything between the three areas. That's a very good question. I will say that it's if you're interested in doing something in the art school or one of the conservatories, we need to know that in advance because it's a little bit more complex for us to get you a place in those institutions. So it's not that it's impossible, but it is. These are, like especially the music conservatories, you have to, the Spanish students have to do an audition to get in. And so we have to make sure that we can get you into these places by sort of convincing them that you do have the ability to be in those places, especially the music conservatory and the dance. Okay, whoops, I didn't mean to.
Jessica quickly asked if there is philosophy, and Mariah said she took philosophy.
Yes, and there's actually a PRESHCO philosophy class, and there's several philosophy classes in the UCO. That's a pretty strong area here. Any other questions about classes before I move on?
Are there any film courses? And
Yes.
the final one, do Smith accommodations carry over at UCO and PRESCO?
They're also good questions. First of all, is there cinema? They started, I believe, 2 years ago with a specific undergraduate degree in cinema and culture. Okay, grado en cine y cultura. So yes, a little bit different than what you would get out of a cinema class in the States. It's a little bit more theoretical maybe, but yes, absolutely you can study film here. And accommodations. Yes, easier for us to create accommodations or to accommodate you, let's say in the PRESHCO classes, but UCO classes, the students have never had a problem with it either. There is actually like an office at the University of Cordoba, just like there is at Smith and Wellesley and other places in the States, that manages accommodations. It's not quite as automatic here as it would be in the States. I know in many places in the States, when you go in as a freshman, you fill out a form and you create a status, let's say, or protocols that last you all 4 years. For us, it's a little bit more hands-on and case by case that we work with the professors to make sure that you have the accommodations. But yes, if they're within reason and within reason in the sense of within our capability of actually creating the space that you need and the time that you need or the materials that you need, then we absolutely can accommodate you.
One more, STEM classes.
Yep, lots of
How
them.
would STEM classes fit into this? For example, computer science or statistical data science?
Okay, those would be your UCO classes. And let me see, I think most of the computer science classes and so on are in engineering programs. The way Spanish degree programs are organized is very different from in the States. So instead of having like specific departments in the States, where you're like someone from education can take a computer class in the computer science department. That's not quite how things work here. How they work here is, for example, in engineering, gosh, I can send you that because I don't want to spend time going back and forth here, but probably within one of the engineering classes, that's where we would find maybe in the freshman year or sophomore year classes with computer science. So it would be a question of just letting us know what requirements you need, and then we find them for you and guide you so that you can find the class and register for the class. What we've been doing, what we just started to do about 2 years ago, this is something new at PRESHCO, is we will send you, before you actually get here, recommendations according to your major and according to your interests. We will send you a complete program of suggested UCO and PRESHCO classes that we think might be interesting for you given your major and your interests. We also mentioned some internships if you're interested in doing internships. If you are, let's say, environmental science or environmental studies major, we will say, okay, these are classes that we think you might be interested in. You can at least start looking at those. And this is an internship, just in case you're interested in doing internships. This would be an internship that would be interesting for an environmental studies person. Okay, anything else? Okay, let's move on. So another part of the academic immersion are the excursions. And now it might seem a little bit strange for me to say that those excursions are part of the academic immersion, but the excursions are really, they're study tours. We have a lot of fun too. I'm not going to say we don't, but it really is part of the academic program. We have an initial study tour in normal times, and Mariah can maybe tell you about the one that she went on. We have an initial study tour that goes to a specific part of Spain. It's usually like thematic. For example, the last one that we did with the wonderful group that had to leave last semester, we did the western part of Spain. We did a whole section on there were two parts actually on Jewish Spain, which is in that sort of area where we went to. And then we also did the route of the people who went from Extremadura to Latin America. And we did a whole section on why it was, why certain people from that area went to America Latina. And then we ended up actually in Seville seeing an absolutely incredible exhibit on Magellan and Magellan's tour around the world, or opening the routes around the world. So it usually has some sort of a theme to it. So that is actually the second week that you're here on site in Spain. We also have day-long excursions. We'll go down to Seville for the day, or go out into one of the natural parks outside of Cordoba, or because of the fast train, we can go to several different places. We can go to Granada in the morning and come back in the afternoon if we don't, if we don't want to stay overnight. So there are day excursions and then 2 to 3 day excursions. We'll do Madrid, Segovia, and Toledo, for example, or we might go to Barcelona for 3 days because of the fast train. From Cordoba to Barcelona, there's a train that gets you there in 5 hours. It's amazing. And then local visits, all sorts of local visits. And most of the local visits have to do with your classes. So for example, this picture here on the right is Medina Zara, which is ruins outside of the city, which are pretty interesting. Any questions? Okay. Internships, also part of the academic immersion, because internships are not associated with specific classes, but we do have students do reflections, and sometimes you might even be able to get credit for them. You can also do a summer internship with PRESHCO. This happens to be a Wellesley student. This happens to be a Colby student, but that's another Wellesley student. I should have found a Smith picture here. But for example, Eleanor did an internship last semester archiving 14th century documents in the provincial, the historical archives, for example. And she had to classify them, which meant she had to read them in Old Spanish and decide sort of what area they belonged to, and then she would and then archive them. Anna Braverman did a summer internship at excavation sites at that Medina Zara, which was for her an eye-opener, and that was pretty interesting. And then Lucy Cheskin, who's here in the middle, she did an internship teaching English. So if anyone's interested in teaching, I know the Smith Education Department was wanting to have Smith students come here to study education and to do an internship teaching English, for example, as a second language. So there's that option too. And this is a link to, again, to our webpage, and you can see all the internships that we have, the areas that they're in, and then each one of these buttons takes you specifically to the internships that we have. This is an area that we still have to develop more, but we've sort of put it on hold because it's been a little bit difficult this year to do internships. If you're interested in
Two
internships,
questions about internships.
Yeah, you have questions? Sure, go ahead.
If we go in spring, could we stay and do an internship the following summer? The other one is there any chance to only do an internship? I don't know exactly what that means, but the question is there any chance to only do an internship?
I assume that means, can it come and do a whole semester of internships for credit, or I'm not sure what. In the summer, you would only do an internship. That's true. And you can use Smith funds to do that internship, which several students have done. Okay, and coming to only do an internship, if you mean during the semester, it depends. I don't know if Smith would allow that, but if they would, I don't
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
I wouldn't think so, but
Yeah.
But there is you can associate an internship with one of your classes, and that way, actually, the internship is part of the credit that you get for that class.
Another question about internships. Could we do an internship in the summer, then study for the fall semester?
Yep. Great way to do that, because you're already acclimated by the time the classes start. So you can do it either before or after. No problem.
That wouldn't interfere with the visa process?
No, we just have to get the visa sooner. We would have to, let's see. somehow we would probably have to associate the internship with the University of Cordoba in some way, but we can do that. So it would just, we would have to apply for the visa in a different way, but it shouldn't interfere with it at all.
Thank you.
Somebody else asked if we are there in spring, could we decide to do the summer internship while we are there? Or
Yes.
we have to decide on the summer internship as well before we arrive for the semester?
No, most of the people who've done the summer internships decided while they were here. Okay, we did have, and I'm not sure really what the status of this is right now. PRESHCO also offered funds to do.
We cannot hear.
Funds from PRESHCO to, whoops, did I freeze up? Okay, did I freeze up? Maybe.
You're back, Kim.
Okay, yeah, I apologize. Like I say, my internet here at home is not too great. Anna did a science that she got quite a bit of money actually to study the scientific part of of how water was brought to Cordoba in the Middle Ages. And so it was science and humanities combined in an internship. She did a really, really interesting project. And then we presented it at an international conference. It was really well done. Anything else about internships?
No, questions about the level of Spanish, but we can do it at a little.
Okay, well, we're just coming into linguistic immersion, so that's right on target.
But we can probably talk about it later. I mean, the general idea is that you would have taken up to Spanish 220 or equivalents. So you do need a certain level of Spanish before going to PRESHCO.
Level, not courses, but
right. Yes. When I say 220, it's just so you have an idea of where. But of course, you would have to talk to one of us so we can evaluate your level of Spanish.
Yes. Yeah, you absolutely need a certain proficiency level to come here. That's why kind of the idea of coming the summer before is interesting. We've also had students, for example, who to maybe increase their level of Spanish, some of them would go to the summer school, like the Middlebury College language schools or something before coming, if your level is a little bit iffy. But you definitely need it. You're going to be direct enrolled alongside of Spanish students, and which doesn't mean you have to be like super perfect high level Spanish, but you need to have a good listening comprehension proficiency and at least be able to express yourself in a reasonable conversation and dialogue and be able to present in Spanish, for example, in your classes. So, and so what we do is as soon as you get here, presumably by the time you all come, we'll be able to do this. As soon as you get to Spain, we spend a week. We go to one destination in Spain and we spend a week in an intensive language course. That's 4 hours a day of language. It also kind of gives you a week to kind of, get your feet wet here in Spain and get your linguistic feet wet. So in the fall, we usually go up to Santander, up in the north, where it's a lot cooler in September, or the end of August, beginning of September, which is a really nice destination. It's the coast, there's beaches and so on and so forth. In the winter, last year, for example, in February, we went to Salamanca and spent a week there at the university, which is very famous for their Spanish courses. In other years, we've gone down to Granada, usually in February, to spend a week there. And this year, or this term that we're in right now, we did a virtual, an online intensive language course through the University of Cordoba, through a place called UCO Idiomas, which is part of the University of Cordoba. So in case we have to do it virtually, then we will do it probably with the University of Cordoba, or Salamanca is also has helped us with that. But hopefully we'll be able to do what we've always been doing, which is to spend the first week in a place where you can start getting used to what Spain is all about, the food and the Spanish language. It's kind of that familiarization week, which is very helpful. Then once you get to Cordoba, and so after that first week, then we go on a week-long study tour that I was telling you about before. And then once you get to Cordoba, we have this little ceremony called El Compromiso PRESHCO. And what we do there, you see a couple of also Wellesley students who, Oberlin and Wellesley. You come to my house, this is at my house, and we do a kind of a little ceremony a symbolic ceremony where we blow out the English candles, sort of a way of kind of pushing the English into the back of your mind, and light the Spanish candles so that symbolically you're switching over from your English brain to your Spanish brain, let's say. And that's really the absolute beginning of your using Spanish all the time. But by then, even with your English speaking peers, it just is a habit and it's just kind of a normal thing to do. Some people need a little bit of reminders, a little bit of reminding occasionally when I hear a little bit of English, but that's okay. We manage it okay. Any questions about that? No? Okay. So then we go on to the cultural immersion, and there's two areas there. One of them are these workshops that we teach. Oh, pardon me. We teach these workshops, which is usually Sevillanas and Flamenco. Oh, geez, everybody's gonna be sending me WhatsApps while I'm on this tonight. My sisters, my mother, my everybody. Okay, go away. So we have these, we do a cooking sessions. You can learn to play the guitar. You can learn to dance. You can learn to, what's the other thing we do? Oh, theater. And we also have a little theater group. And that's PRESHCO students, and sometimes some University of Cordoba students join us as well. And then besides that, if you want to do things on your own, that we have this cultural fund, reembolsos it's called, that you can use to spend on whatever you want to do. So here are some students who we went to a soccer game, the Cordoba soccer team. It's a terrible team, but we had a lot of fun at the game. So, and they won miraculously. So we had a lot of fun there. And you can also play. Here's over here to the right is one of our students who was actually on the professional team here in Cordoba, and she just got invited back to play professionally here in Cordoba. Micaela, she's a Williams student, so that's kind of interesting too. You can go horseback riding. There's just lots of things to do here, and we will help you out with funds to support doing cultural activities outside of your classes, plus what we organize ourselves. As far as being immersed in the community, the best thing is living with a host family. And I was not a real big fan of host families before I came to Cordoba. I used to work in Madrid and it just didn't work the same way. But Cordoba is just a totally different ballgame. The families are amazing. And Mariah can tell you a little bit about that too. I think she had a good experience. And the families have worked with PRESHCO for many years. One of them even has a son married to an ex-PRESHCO student. There are ex-PRESHCO students who have stayed on here because they've just gotten so immersed with their family and people around the family and so on and so forth that they've stayed on here as well. And they're just really cool, and everything's included. All of your meals are included, laundry, they clean your room. There's internet. It's amazingly, no one has any problems with the food at the homes. They're really good cooks. So that's an important part of the program. I have to say, a really important part, linguistically and culturally. Another interesting activity that we promote is conversation partners, compañeros de conversación. And we have University of Cordoba students who are studying English, for example. A lot of them are translation students or English philology students. And they join us we organize activities, we organize group activities in our Annexo. The place you're seeing there is a locale that we have where we have activities. And they join in. So we'll have group activities. We'll have a board game night, or a film. They'll watch a film together and then talk about it afterwards. Or we have a tasting, an olive oil tasting party. Sounds kind of strange, but it's fun. And then, so we have these group activities, and then you can go off in smaller groups to activities that you choose to do that are also funded by PRESHCO. So you want to go to, I don't know, go and spend the day in PRIEGO, for example, which is a beautiful little town close by. Well, we'll pay for your bus ticket and basically so that you can spend the day with your friend who might be from that town, and you want to go and visit there. So this is a really, really good part of the PRESHCO. The PRESHCO attempt to get you to be involved all the time in Spanish, all the time.
Kim, sorry, if I may interrupt for a second.
Sure.
About the housing accommodations, Jessica asks if there are single rooms in those houses normally. And then
Yes.
the second question following through that, would those work for the excursions as well?
Single rooms?
Yes.
Usually the excursions the students are put in double rooms, but if there's a specific need for a single room, we can accommodate that.
Thank you.
Right now, especially right now, there's only one student per family. So, which I think is always a good thing, because you're required, you really need to speak Spanish all the time. You have your own room and your own bathroom as well. And now this is specific COVID protocols. Maximum you might have to share if there's a big group, we'll have 2 students with a family and they will share a bathroom, but almost always you have your own room and your own bathroom in the homestays. And like I say, hotels on the excursions, it depends. You're generally paired with someone, but if there's a specific need to have an individual room, we can manage that.
So Kayara is asking, if you do a summer internship, will there be similar group activities, other students abroad that you can meet, or is it more of a solo experience?
It's more of a solo experience, but we're there. We work all summer. Well, not all summer. We have vacations, summer vacations, but we can put you in touch with conversation partners, for example, from the previous year, to at least get you started with meeting people, and then it's up to you. Then usually we don't generally have to do a whole lot to promote. We mostly do things to provide the opportunities for the students, and then the students just take it on and manage it themselves. So, but sure, we're around, and we're happy always to work with PRESHCO students, even if they're not specifically in the classes at that particular point. Anything else? Should I continue? Okay.
Not so far.
Okay. So, this is just kind of an idea of everything that we include, what's included in the cost, basically. It really is one of the things that students mention is that PRESHCO is a pretty good cost benefit program. So everything is included with what you pay. I mean, you basically, the only thing you need to pay while you're here is just personal expenses and personal travel. The rest of it, basically, if you don't want to spend beyond what you've already paid for the program, you really don't have to. It's pretty much, except for very personal expenses, it's all there. Even course materials. I mean, even books and photocopies and everything are included. So it's a pretty good deal, I have to say. Health insurance, everything, internships, whatever.
Actually,
Okay.
Can you talk a bit more about the health insurance, as one of our students is asking how it works at PRESHCO? Yes.
We contract with an international health insurance company called CISI, And that's pretty well known, and a lot of the study abroad programs contract with that, and that covers almost everything that, any health need that you might have while you're here. It also covers, well, I mean, our particular question now was, does it also cover COVID related expenses? It also covers medical evacuation if you need to be evacuated for some reason. I don't know. Up until now, we haven't had any cases like that, but I have known cases in other programs. A student who fell and broke his pelvis, and the parents wanted him to come home to be operated on at home, for example. But Cordova has excellent health facilities. I have to say, the hospitals are very good. They just opened a brand new private hospital here last year, where up until now, everyone we've contacted with also speaks English, and this CISI. We've put the two institutions in touch with each other, the hospital and the insurance. And so now students don't even have to pay and then get paid back. Automatically, CC and the hospital talk to each other, and they authorize the expense. And so, and then they just do what they have, the hospital does what they have to do as far as taking care of you. So this, I have to say that this term, like I said, we have Wellesley students here. They've gone with a different company because that other company covers all of the Wellesley programs all over the world. But we have been working with this CISI, which you can look up on the webpage, and it's a very good deal.
Fantastic, thank you. There's one more question about the difference between the 1-year experience and the 1 semester experience. I need to talk a bit more about that, apart from the length of the time.
It's always better to spend a year here. And, I mean, that's just kind of my bias, only because I've seen, I've worked in study abroad for 40 years, and it is such a huge difference the second semester in how comfortable people feel in their the Spanish is just amazing at the end of 2 semesters. It's just not even comparable. After 1 semester, especially in a program, in an immersion program like PRESHCO, your Spanish gets really good. But just when you're feeling like, oh my God, I really got it now, it's December and you have to go home. Or it's May and you have to, well, in this case, it would be December that you have to go home.
Kim,
Sure.
Sorry, do you think it is a good time to let Mariah speak? Because I am concerned that she's going to fall asleep, poor thing. No, I know you aren't, but I don't want to steal too much of your time.
Yeah,
And
I think I'm actually on the last slide. So, and they don't have a whole much, these are the people that work there. These are the places that you would be seeing and taking classes at. This is the application process, which is all laid out on the webpage, and we help you with all of it. Everything is all online. We help you get your visa. We do a pre-departure webinar, which Mariah, I don't think this is something new that we've been doing this, so she might not even know about that.
And there is no better director than Kim, truly. She's wonderful. I'm sure you can contact her. And Simone Gugliota and Adrián Gras Velázquez and María Elena Rueda and I are here just because we visited the program. So feel free to talk to us.
Right. And then this is the last slide.
Lisa.
And I just wanted to, I do have to talk about this a little bit. Please, take a look at our webpage. We have spent a lot of time getting protocols together and making sure that things are super prepared for you all to come and have a healthy and safe experience. We have this whole webpage that we put a lot of time and effort into that has everything, even like little videos here, so that you can see what the situation is in the homestays out on the street, at the university, at gyms and things like that, with all sorts of protocols and information. So, that's if you're going to be coming, and if we're still in this kind of crazy health situation that we're in, we're ready, we're prepared for you. And the students that are here now are having a great experience so far, and they're not having a problem with with COVID. Anyway, this is the last slide. You please, look at all of our social media and all that kind of stuff. And then I will certainly turn this over to mi querida Mariah.
Thank you, Kim. You are the best.
You're sweet.
You are.
Yeah, she really is.
I love what I do. Mariah, where are you? ¿Dónde estás?
I think you have to stop sharing, Kim.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay. So I'm Mariah, and I use she, her pronouns. And I did my whole junior year abroad doing PRESHCO. And so I just made a couple notes of things when Kim was talking that I thought might be like helpful insight. So one thing is it kind of touches on the studying 2 semesters versus just 1, because I felt like I had 2 totally different experiences, my 2 different semesters. The first semester, I was really focused on the schoolwork and doing like every single cultural activity that PRESHCO had to offer, and just like trying everything new that there was in the school and in the program. And I didn't do a lot of stuff independently. But I kind of liked that because it gave me like structure, and I don't know, I just felt more connected to what I was used to. So that was helpful for the first semester. And then the second semester, I kind of like broke away a little bit and I explored more like actual Spanish culture. I had a Spanish boyfriend, so I kind of got like a doorway into that world of really getting like one-on-one time, and then also like meeting his Spanish friends and going to various different cultural things. Like I actually got to experience a graduation, which is totally different in Spain and not anywhere as interesting, because it was like a lecture instead of a ceremony, but it was still nice. And so I just had like 2 very different experiences in my 2 different semesters. But if I had only gone the first one, I probably just would have done all of the academic stuff and I wouldn't have really gotten to know the culture. And I fell in love with the culture, which is part of the reason why I'm back in Spain now. But so that's in terms of the 2 semesters versus 1. And then also on the academic side of that, somebody was asking about philosophy. I don't remember what the grado was, but I imagine that it was like somewhere in the philology, or I don't know. I was taking most of my classes in the philology grado, which is like basically similar to what we have as linguistics, but slightly different. And also like linguistics and English, but for them Spanish. Right. So I took a philosophy class, and it was actually like so interesting because I never really studied philosophy before. But our professor was just absolutely incredible, and he actually wrote a book that I bought, and I read that later, and it was actually nicer to read his book because I was able to process it a little bit more than being in the actual lectures where he was talking pretty fast. But that was interesting, and it was also interesting because I had like an essay test where I had to literally write an essay on philosophy in Spanish, which was like a very intense academic challenge, but it was good. And then my other like main academic challenge that I had the first semester, which I think is like a little bit more challenging than what most people experience. It really depends on what classes you take, what your challenge is going to be. And I know that a lot of people, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend this, but I don't know what other people, when I was studying abroad, kind of did was they tended to go towards other classes, because there's like a shopping period a little bit where you can go to a class, and then if you don't like it, you don't have to actually do that class. And people went towards the classes that there were other international students in. And that, like, you could tell if there were a lot of other international students that it wasn't going to be too difficult. But so I took a psycholinguistics class, my first semester, and that was like extremely intense, but I was really interested in the subject and I made it work. And I got, so the grading system is different, but it's like out of 10, and I got a 7, which is like not half bad for like even Spanish students. So I felt really proud of myself. And that had like a whole like exam and an oral presentation and like everything. So that was like, I don't know, it was very similar to kind of like a Smith class, I felt, but in the terms of like group projects
Okay.
and all the different aspects.
Okay. I think that maybe I don't know if people have, if other students have questions. Sorry to interrupt you, Mariah. That's so great, everything that you've been saying. But I don't know if we may open it up for students to ask you questions or ask anybody else questions, not just in the chat, but like talking.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to answer questions.
No, it's so nice, everything that you were saying. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's
Anyone
okay.
has,
Can I just say
yes.
2 more things? Okay, one of them was about the visa, because now I've gone through both the process of getting a visa by myself to come back and doing it with PRESHCO. And it's just so helpful that they help you with that, because it's an absolute nightmare to do it by yourself. So that's like a class that this program offers that. So that's just one thing. And then the other thing was just an interesting anecdote that I had. But when I first got to Spain, so I had studied a couple months in Argentina in high school, but that was like really my only experience with actual like Spanish, other than a Spanish class, which is obviously not the same thing at all. And when I got to Spain, I didn't even realize that Kim was American. Like I couldn't tell the difference in accents. She's like obviously is fluent in Spanish, but she's I couldn't tell that she was speaking differently than the other women who work for PRESHCO. And by the end, like now I can tell when I hear different accents on the street, different accents from different parts of Spain. So it's like very interesting how your ear over time in all of this immersion, you're able to pick up all of these different accents and different regional differentiation.
That's awesome. That's so nice.
You
So anyone has
like linguistics. You
Yeah.
always like linguistics, Mireya.
Mhm. So does anyone have questions? If you want, you can use the raise hand or just speak, I guess.
And maybe Lisa wants to say something. Lisa.
Yes, Lisa, do you want to talk about the logistics, like what they would have to do, like dates and stuff, Sosh?
Sure, just very quickly, and I don't want to take up a lot of time because everything that's been said so far is fascinating. I think there was a question on when do you apply for approval to study abroad, and you do that at least a semester before you go. So if you're thinking about fall 2021, you need to apply for study abroad approval by February 15th, 2021. And there's information on the website to do that. You also have to apply for acceptance to the PRESHCO program. So on the PRESHCO website, be searching for how to apply that information and making sure that you're applying by time. If you're going to go for just the spring semester, you have until the first Monday in October to apply for study abroad approval. And then also you need to, again, apply for acceptance to PRESHCO. We can talk about this offline. If you have questions about the application process, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Right.
And Lisa, going senior year is a possibility.
It is, absolutely. So the college has no restriction prohibiting students from studying abroad during their senior year. Most students will study abroad just for their fall semester because they want to be back on campus for spring semester, graduation, and things like that. But if you want to be abroad for your spring semester of your senior year as well, you absolutely can do that. There's another plan of study that you have to submit called the senior year elsewhere form. It's just demonstrating to the college that you have a plan to complete your major requirements, complete your degree requirements, and study abroad during your senior year and stuff. So it can be done. It's not hugely cumbersome to do, and can be done, and is a possibility, particularly in this world of COVID that we're living in right now.
Right. And I will just add that because we are almost, it's almost 5:30, but Reyes, Adrián, Simone, and myself are very happy to answer any questions that you may have after this is over. Just email us. We'll be happy to help you. And I guess we still would have some time if anyone has anything that has come up they have thought of.
Somebody asked if there is PRESHCO graduate school.
I just answered.
Oh,
I would love to have a graduate program here. The only graduate program in Spain of an American university is the one that I used to direct, which is Middlebury. And it's a really good program. So, and actually we had quite a few PRESHCO students who had been in the PRESHCO program as juniors abroad, and then went to the MA program, the Middlebury MA program in Madrid. So.
I just want to remind people that this is recorded. If
Yeah.
anybody wants to see it afterwards, because we have said so many things, we can send you a copy if you request it. You can write to any of us.
so Jessica asked a question in the chat that I think applies to everybody. She wants to know if her level of Spanish is good enough. I think if you have taken 220, you should be fine. So don't, but if you want to talk to any of us, we're happy to help you, like on a one-on-one or just by email, you know, help you figure out. But if you have taken 220, you are fine. Just for sure, that's or equivalent. So if your level of Spanish is equivalent to 220, you're good to go. So that's how we evaluate your level of Spanish, but we are always happy to help you figure it out. You know, and by us, I mean us in the Spanish department.
If
So,
I
And I forgot to mention too, I think it's on one of the slides, we have tutors while you're here as well. So if
exactly.
you're struggling with a particular content of a class or struggling with your Spanish, we have lots of help for you. In fact, we just made an agreement with a whole group of master's degree students, Spanish master's degree students who are studying how to teach Spanish as a second language. And so we have like, 22 tutors that will spend all the time with you that you need. So there's that.
Which
And
is something that Simone teaches. Simone teaches how to.
Right. And I should add that the tutors program is really excellent, and they may help you with things like if you have never taken a biology class in Spanish, they will help you with understanding just the technical language or math or statistics, which, the words are not always the same. So the tutors can help you with that kind of things. Right. Kim?
Yes. And like Mariah had mentioned her grade, PRESHCO students do a really good job here. It's amazing. They get better grades than the Spanish students because you guys are really good students. Remember, underlying it all, leaving the language out of it, you're really good students and you know how to study and you know how, you're at one of the best institutions in the whole United States. I mean, that goes a long way to helping you get through your classes in spite of maybe having some difficulties with the language. So, and you really do, after 3 weeks, you're just, your ear gets used to the Cordova accent and to the being in class, and you'll be fine.
Kim, most people have to go, but thanks to everybody. But I think you gave us a logo for PRESHCO. PRESHCO, lots of help.
So,
I think it is a program that provides lots of help. Yeah,
it really does. If you want it, we do not impose, like Mariah said very, very well. The structure is there if you need it. The help is there if you need it. But we are certainly not, on top of you all the time, except to make sure that you're using your Spanish. And I am implacable is the word. But in a good way, not in a, you know, not in a, like a linguistic police way, but just to help you realize that you can do it and why you should do it and so on and so forth. That's my field. My field is second language acquisition. So that's why I'm so interested in it. But then, like Mariah said very well, you can choose to use the structure, but if you, once you don't need it anymore, you fly on your own and you can do, you know, you can go in any direction you'd like to go in, as long as it's legal.
So
And if
there's
it is illegal, make sure you are not caught.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't want to hear that.
yeah, we don't want to hear that. So is the application, a very specific question, is the application deadline for PRESHCO before or after the SMIT deadline for approval? So
After. We really don't, PRESHCO doesn't really have a deadline. The deadline is Smith's deadline.
okay.
So as soon as you get your approval, the Smith deadline, the important thing is to get your approval in for Smith, and then you start applying to PRESHCO, and it just, you know, we just kind of keep up with you. Oh, you haven't sent this in, you haven't sent that in. Are you still planning on going? So it's more of a dialogue after that rather than a deadline.
You can actually do both processes simultaneously, and that's what I would recommend doing and stuff, so that because shortly after, as long as you feel like you're relatively certain you'll be approved to study abroad, you meet the GPA requirements, eligibility requirements, et cetera, there wouldn't be any reason not to be approved, then definitely could work on your PRESHCO application more or less at the same time as your study abroad approval application.
Right.
Okay. So I think we're actually past the time that we had for this, but if there's any last minute question, we'll take it.
Be a vegan in Córdoba? Somebody asked.
Yes.
Yes, you
Vegan.
can.
Yes, you can.
Vegan, vegetarian, keto, you know, there is everything here.
Yes, and delicious food.
It's certainly, you know, different traditions and so on, but everybody manages. And, you know, there are actually vegan restaurants here and vegetarian restaurants and so on. Just kind of let us know in advance so that we can place you with a host family. We have a host family that one of the women is a chef, so she loves like experimenting with vegan dishes and so on. And it's kind of a myth here that it's really hard to be a vegetarian or vegan in Spain. It's really not hard. I mean, you can find all that. It's just that the cuisine is not really geared toward that, but it doesn't mean that you can't go along with it, right, Mariah? I mean, maybe you can.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a vegetarian my whole life, and I'm trying to move back into vegan now, and it's definitely possible. I mean, like, I'm in a big city, but even in Cordoba, it was fine for me.
Yeah, I thought I remembered you were a vegetarian, so.
One thing in brackets, can the host stop recording?
Sure.
Who is the host? Who is the host?
Lisa.
Lisa, that's it. So that you can